to conduct this analysis. The first one is pandas as PD, and for model selection, we will practice test training dataset split approach, and you need to import this package. And for linear regression, we import linear regression package from sklearn. And for performance evaluation measure, we import mean squared error, mean absolute error, and R2 scores. This is R squared. So let's use location revenue data. And for the first question is divide the data into 75 and 25% training versus test data set, and run these two regression model using OLS. So if you open the data set, you can actually click the CSV file, open data set. It has revenue, number of competitors, income, number of loyal members, customers, and population. And location, age, so consumer demographics and number of competitors. So to import data set, we practiced yesterday. PD, that's pandas, abbreviation here. And then the command is read CSV and file name. Then df head means we want to read the first 5 observations. So let's execute this line. So I didn't execute this line, so you need to first run this line so that the PD can work. Now it displays the first 5 observations for all the information. The first regression model is revenue as a dependent variable, and these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variables as independent variable. The second regression model, I dropped number of competitors from the first model. So if this is an important variable to explain revenue, then the model 1 should perform better. So in reality, you wouldn't drop important variable. Instead, you will include all relevant variables, and if you are not sure certain variable, whether the variable is important in explaining or predicting the dependent variable, then you can specify different model set. So this is the practice like that. To run regression model, we need to first define X and Y, X as independent variable, Y as dependent variable. So in Python, you can write either this df dot revenue. So the first df is the data set name. When we imported the data set, we saved as df. So we specify data set name, then revenue is the variable name. In this way, y, the dependent variable, is defined as df revenue. So for example, after you run this line, if you type y, what do you expect? Y should display revenue. So revenue values are displayed here. Then y can be specified in this way, or equivalently we can write this way. So when we specify only one variable, these two methods are the same. But when we list multiple variables, we cannot use df dot. We have to use this format. So X will include 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variables, and Y is include only 1. So if you type Y, then this revenue is specified. If you type X, then these 5 variables are specified as X. Sorry, we don't have enough time for you type the code line by line today. So I will just explain what each line of code means. So you defined here X and Y. Then we want to split the data into training data and test data set. So the question is 75 training, 25% test data set. This is the Python command train test split and specify first X variable and Y. And you don't need to specify actually random state. Let's simplify. You can specify the percentage of split, but if we don't split, the default is 75 and 25 split. So this is the Python command and just specify X and Y. Then we will produce 4 variables. First, training data for X, test data for X, training data for Y, test data for Y. It makes sense? And then you are just giving these names. So you can change this part, whatever you like. This is Python command, you should not change, but this is the name you are creating, so you can change this part. But I will call train 1, X train 1, X test 1, and Y train, Y test. Because you have 2 models, you need to create 2 train X variables. Okay, so this once you execute this line, you will find, for example, let's type X train 1. Then this is the same variables for X here, but the number of variables, number of observations will be 75% of original data set. So for example, if you put length train 1, then this means the length is the number of variable, number of observations. Number of observations, that's the Python command length. But if you just type length of X before split, it has 1000. So it means 75% of the observations are allocated into training data. And if you similarly type length X test data, then what do you expect? How many observations? 25%, which is 250, correct?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah. So this is, we split the data into 2 parts. Then that is for model 1. And we do the same for model 2. But we already created the model X test 1 and X train 1, X test 1. And the model 2 is we need to just drop this variable.